if I would have applied myself, I could have gone to the NBA.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. But it's just like, it's been done. I didn't want to, I was like, I don't want to be a follower. Hi, I'm Jason Concepcion.
And I'm Shea Serrano. And we are back. We have a new podcast from Wondery. It's called Six Trophies.
Woo!
And it's the best.
Each week, Shea Serrano and I are combing through all the NBA storylines, finding the best, most interesting, most compelling stories, and then handing out 6 pop culture themed trophies for 6 basketball related activities.
Trophies like the Dominic Toretto I Live My Life a Quarter Mile at a Time trophy, which is given to someone who made a short-term decision with no regard for future consequence.
Or the Christopher Nolan Tenet trophy, which is given to someone who did something that we didn't understand.
Catalina Wine Mixer trophy.
Ooh, the Lauryn Hill, you might win some, but you just lost one trophy. And what's more, the NBA playoffs are here, so you want to make 6 Trophies your go-to companion podcast through all the craziness. Follow 6 Trophies on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Listen ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, and today I am joined by Mavs Moneyball contributor Matt. Now, you guys may think this is a different Matthew. We have 3 Matthews on staff, but the wonderful part about this Matthew is he now makes 2 Matthews that has wood paneling behind him.
Exactly.
In his podcast stream. Matt, how you doing today?
Better now.
Better now. Well, we're also joined, I'm going to bring him up, by Mavs Moneyball contributor Isaac. Isaac, what's going on?
What's up? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you guys
Perfect.
so much for joining. Those of you who are listening live on the stream may be confused as to who these 2 guys are because they were our regular Mavs Moneyball contributors, but Josh and I always do the show, and Josh is having a really fun time tonight with some technical difficulties. He's going to try to join us later. Oh, God. I am. It's been almost 45 minutes, so the adrenaline has kind of dropped. I had to write the recap. Didn't have to. I chose to write the gamer, and the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 109-108 in really, truly exhilarating fashion, like the kind of game that you think about for years, like that you just sort of draw back to. Like, hey, guys, remember the time when Luka Doncic made Rudy Gobert dance, almost fall over, drill a 3 in his game, and tell him to go home, bitch? I do.
This is the game you'll be Googling in like 2033 when you're bored at work. You'll just be searching like Luka game winners, Luka game winner Minnesota. It was like that level of rewatchability.
That's exactly right. So I'm going to do a quick kind of just rundown of the game, and then we can talk about whatever in the world you guys want to talk about. The Mavericks came out. Everybody but Luka looked a little dicey. There were some weird mistakes, like PJ Washington with the turnover in the center of the floor off of a pick and roll. Kyrie Irving couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, continuing his sort of cold stretch after becoming an NBA Jam character in the first quarter of game 1. Everybody just looked a little goofy. The Mavericks found themselves down, I want to say 6 at the end of the first quarter, and then some sloppy play to start the second. They were down by as many as 18 points, I think, in the second quarter, where it looked like, Josh Bowe basically said to me, should we just start doing like our work now and back up for the evening? I want to say the Mavericks were down, like it was almost like 38-20 at one point, or maybe it was 40-58, but it was like really heinous at certain points in this game. The Mavericks did find themselves down 12 at the half after like an 8-2 rally that was over a 3-minute period to close the second, where you could start to see elements of the Mavericks that we've been used to seeing, the team that really punches back and fights hard. Only there was like just enough, leaving a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. The Mavs were down 60-48 at the half. The third quarter was really, really fun. The Mavericks really worked the Wolves, only for Naz Reid to like stab a hole directly into my chest on a probably like 32-footer as time expired. It was like his 7th made 3 of the game, I think, at that point, to give the Wolves a 7-point lead in the 4th. And so, guys, I'll tell you this. At this point, and Isaac, you can appreciate this because Isaac writes gamers and does stuff all the time when he's with his college paper. I'd written like 700 words because I write as I go and then I edit it down. And I'm like, well, fuck, I can't write 700 words. I sat there and I was like, okay, guy, I wrote to myself, Kyrie Irving does stuff. And that's before the quarter started. Kyrie Irving opened the quarter with 2 made threes, along with a PJ Washington. A really sweet post move over Mike Conley. I think that was the Mavericks' first lead of the game. Or it pulled them back within one of the two. Yeah. The teams just traded haymakers the rest of the game. I mean, the rest of the game. The Wolves repeatedly took a 2-point lead. The Mavericks, I don't think their biggest lead of the game might have been 3, but did they lead in the fourth quarter over more than 1 point?
There were 11 lead changes in the fourth quarter, so I don't know if they led by much, but it was back and forth the whole way.
Yeah, so we get this pretty incredible moment where Kyrie Irving goes to the line and attempts to pull them back within 1. They were down 3 at that point. Kyrie misses both. Kyrie Irving misses 3 fourth quarter free throws. A truly kind of unfathomable event. The Wolves either missed or turned it over the next possession. Kyrie finds Luka at the end of the shot clock on the next possession. I'm sorry, Luka finds Kyrie in the corner for an end of shot clock 3, which makes the game 106-108 with the Wolves up. Anthony Edwards and does his best Luka Doncic impression, turns the ball over though. The Mavericks get one more chance with 12 seconds remaining. I don't know what the Timberwolves coaches were thinking. This was like, we have one out of timeout. Well, I guess they have more than one now. They've shown some cool ones with PJ dunks over the last several months. But it was up 3. We know the Mavericks are going to go for the kill. This is up 2. Luka Doncic gets Rudy Gobert. I think Kyrie Irving screened him. I could be wrong. It was really just Luka's not made a shot like that. I don't know if he's made one like that this year. Drills the 3 over Rudy Gobert with 3 seconds left. Naz Reid got a clean look and missed it. Thank God. I would have died.
That ball was in the air for like an hour. I swear to God.
I mean, just a beautiful shot by him.
Lucas walk away. That shot would have been so sour if he had made that shot. If Naz Reid made that shot today.
You're right. Jeremy in the chat says he asked Lively for the screen. Sorry, I'm mixing up my Kyrie. Kyrie did a lot in that fourth quarter. Really excited by him. The Mavericks walk away with a 2-0 series lead. Where I think only 5 times in history has like a team come back to win in a situation like this after losing their first 2 home games. This is fucking crazy. Who wants to go first? What should we talk about first? I don't even know.
I mean, I think the whole game you're like waiting for like it to get even or them to do something because like it was like the thing with like hang around just enough hang around, and so you can't like leave to go do something else. You have to like kind of keep watching. And then it kind of, I think Naz Reid hit that shot at the end of the third to bump it up to 7 because I think the Mavs had a chance to like get it to 2 or 3, and then Naz Reid ends up putting up 7. You're like, well, it's not over, but like that really kind of sucks. And then like the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter is just like Mavericks 8-0 run immediately erases the lead, and then it's like just it's a fourth quarter game at that point, and then you have Luka and Kyrie and the best closers in the game, and then so from there on that it was a fight, but I mean, just to be able to come back in the fourth quarter and immediately just wipe out, and the whole deficit was like huge.
Here's the thing. I started a piece about this. I probably won't be able to finish it because my brain just doesn't work anymore. I used to be able to write like actual decent things. I've had this feeling since game 5, since the Thunder, since the Mavericks won game 5 in Thunder. There's a sense of inevitability about this Mavericks team when I watch them play. And X's and O's, defense, all that stuff aside, I think if the Mavericks are within about 7 or 8 points in any given point, I believe they're going to win. There's no statistics behind that. There's no big basketball math. It's my look at this backcourt and then their partnership with the various players in the front court and the fact that every single one of these guys knows what they're supposed to do, where I think the Mavericks are not only going to win this series, I think they're going to win the whole damn thing. I'm not this kind of guy. I'm not the guy that like I'm usually like I've tried to be better about this because the sports are supposed to be fun, but like I'm just kind of not an outwardly super positive fan because basketball is really hard and building a championship contender is really hard. And this team looks like they could, they just go out there and they can do anything once they really batten down the hatches.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that, like, as a fan watching, like, the reason that I believe that they can, make a comeback no matter, if they're down 18, 20 points is because you can tell that they believe they can, like they never panic. They never, feel like they're out of a game. Just the guys they have in there, Kyrie, I mean, Luka is always going to, be, well, I wouldn't say always, but, he can put a team back in the game pretty much at any point. So like, just knowing that they have kind of the firepower and the defensive ability to like jump back into a game is like, that's kind of like the skeleton key of like the playoffs is like never really being out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's absolutely the case. A couple of the commenters are like, you're getting ahead of yourself right now. I'm not saying the Mavericks are going to win it. I'm saying I feel like they can. And going from that to where, you start off the playoffs, Luka's hurt. Everything just feels a bit like, God, we did all this again just to get to the point to where Luka is really not feeling great and we're going to lose because our best player's injured. And then it's 3 weeks later and the Mavericks are trucking along like some of this stuff didn't happen. And it's bizarre to me. There was a lot more than the Luka and Kyrie element of all of this. So the first half, I didn't necessarily think the defense was. Yeah, Luka's defense left a lot to be desired. I thought the Wolves got a lot of long rebounds, which really, and that's like a 50-50 ball thing. When Mike Conley misses a free throw and then like a board goes over Kyrie's head, Kyrie fouls a guy on a 3-point shot. Like there was a lot of things I felt that went against the Mavericks this game, kind of the whole way. And then the second half comes around and really kind of the middle of the set, like the last 3 minutes of the second quarter, where the Mavericks defense just slowly builds up. I know in the first half, I've not actually even checked out these stats yet. I mean, I should have this stuff pulled up, but I'm not a professional podcaster. The Mavericks were behind the count in the paint points, where the Wolves were sort of ripping them a new one. And what do we have here? Where's the game chart? NBA.com has some pretty always helpful stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, points in the paint. The Mavericks ended up winning points in the paint 54-42.
Yeah. I saw when they put the graphic up sometime maybe for the game we had pulled ahead at some point. But yeah, I mean, you could feel the defense kind of locking in as the game went on. The first quarter was so like just shaky all around. I think they had like 11 free throws, which was, almost as many as they had in the first game or whatever. And, Ant had like 4 free throws immediately. But yeah, I mean, the Wolves went from 32, in each quarter, 32 points, 28, 26, 22. Like you could just feel, the vice closing in as Dallas kind of closed that gap and got into the game and started making some shots and stuff like that. So, it's great to get better as the game goes along.
Isaac, what were some things that you enjoyed, at least during the rally, once the Mavericks started to pull it together from the second quarter on?
I think you kind of talked about the inevitability feeling that teams get when they're playing this team. You didn't want to bring stats into it, but they showed a stat towards the end of the third. It was like Minnesota 4 of 15, and you attribute that to our defense playing better, of course. Dallas was 13 of 18. Like, there's just a certain point where they don't miss shots. And this isn't the first game they've done it in. When they came back from 30 down against LA, even though they lost the game, there were literally like 11, 12 possessions in a row where they scored.
Yep.
Like, there's just certain parts of this team. I don't know what clicks it on, what clicks it off, but when Kyrie's going downhill, Luka's hitting shots, and the other guys are rotating around them and not standing in the corner, like, they're unstoppable. I don't know how this team doesn't score 150 points a game. Like, because when they play like that, they're on pace for it.
Well, I really had a lot of fun watching this game. Josh asks me, he's like, why do you always want to, like, why do you keep taking the recap? We have 20 people who write, just ask someone else to do it. And I'm like, honestly, it gives me something to do other than angrily tweet or like scream at the television whenever something happens. And this game was another game where the Wolves, the Wolves have played two games against the Mavericks, and their two high scorers have been Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid. Not ideal. And, the Wolves really pressed the issue early on, kind of relentlessly attacking the rim. I think they got into the bonus with 7 minutes left in the first quarter. It was like, okay, it's going to be one of those nights. I think Lively might have picked up a second foul, and it felt like things were getting a little shaky. And, the Wolves never really were able to throw more than one or two body blows, where when he gets up to 18 points, and it's just like, okay, they're hitting these threes. The Mavericks are missing ridiculous shots. Like Kyrie was 2 for 8, I think, in the first half. Mm-hmm. And Luka was 5 of 14 in the first half. Every other guard. So Hardy, Exum, Hardaway, and who am I missing? Josh Green were something heinous. Like it was, I wrote it down at one point. I'm just trying to see if I even have it in here. Were 4 of 18. So it's like either the Wolves are playing incredible defense or something is like just, something's not going the Mavericks' way. And in a game like this, where the Wolves obviously do have a great defense, something was sort of bound to break at that point. And I was really looking forward just to seeing when that would happen. And Kyrie finally connecting on his first 3 of the game in the fourth quarter, where it was like, ooh, okay, maybe now we're going to get into this. The fact that he was able to hit 3 more in the quarter is absolutely insane to me.
Well, when you talk about the free throws, I mean, these teams had 35 free throws combined in game 1, 54 combined free throws in game 2. I was watching the beginning of the game, and we were getting some calls that, like, don't get me wrong, I want free throws, but I was like, you weren't calling that in game 1. Like, they were calling fouls on us, they were calling fouls on them, and just be consistent. If you want to call this type of game, call it every game of the series. Don't flip-flop.
Sure.
And we won, thank God, but I was like, don't call ticky-tack fouls where Cat's getting bumped and you're calling that foul. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. And they really kind of stopped as the game went along, where it felt like the Wolves were going to run away from it, and they didn't press their advantage correctly. And I want to talk about this. Actually, let's come back after a quick break. So I want to talk about the Wolves, some of the Wolves offensive players, and then get into the rest of the Mavericks that were really quite spectacular. So everybody who's here, thank you so much for hanging out. If you could do me a favor and consider liking the stream, those of you here at the YouTube live, if you could also consider subscribing. Josh and I, we appreciate every single subscriber we get. We're picking up a few every show. This is a great time of year for this. Right after this show, I will stick around and go live with anybody in our comments that wants to come up like these two gentlemen and talk basketball with me. Josh Bowe might be joining us at some point, but we'll see. I tend to hang out till 1 or 2 in the morning on some nights where we're talking basketball. So we'll see what everybody wants to talk about. It's a lot of fun here. Anybody listening on the audio stream on, Saturday morning or during the weekend, please consider leaving a review. We're grateful for all that. I'm going to insert some audio ads here, and then we will be back to finish up the rest of the show.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring podcasts on the Blue Wire Network. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System yet, then you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Wherever you are across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/bluewire to learn more and find a center near you. That's unified, UNIFYD, healing.com/bluewire. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
Quick shout out to 4 people here who have left us a tip. D. Smith says real mic fund. Look, guys, we're not professionals. Appear now, appear later, says blue microphone fund for Josh. Vlatko with a quick tip. Really appreciate you Kidd won 2 challenges in this game, and that contributed absolutely to the win. That's a great point. The Jason Kidd of this all is something we need to circle back to. And then friend of the show, Henry says, Luka Doncic MVP, hashtag Pravi MVP. Really appreciate that. You said something right before I went to break that I want to sort of stick to. Cat tried a couple of weird Dirk leaners in this game that were like, something about those shots gave me confidence that the Mavericks were going to win. Is that ridiculous?
No, he had like 17 shot attempts tonight, and I think that 9 of them were shots that I was like, oh, he might make that. And then the other 8 were just leaners, contested threes. Like, it was insane, his shot selection tonight.
He did not press PJ Washington the way I thought he could with his size advantage. 4 of 16 from 3. Oh my gosh, what a terrible. So he's now 3 of 14 from 3 this series. And then in the last game, he was 6 of 20 from the floor and 4 of 16 this game. So that's 10 of 36. Oh gosh, that's that's all-star Karl Anthony Towns for you there. They were really better with that with Naz Reid on the floor.
Yeah. Naz Reid is on a heater, but like you can tell, Dallas is like clearly scheming for Anthony Edwards, but Cat is just like, he's just not playing well. Like, I don't think the Mavs are doing anything in particular to like stop him specifically, but they don't really have to because he's not really making shots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I was, just very impressed with a lot of the Maverick defense. Obviously, Jaden McDaniels came back down to earth. That was pretty funny to see. Shout out to Rudy Gobert for shooting a post move over the rim from 3 feet away. That was quite something. But really, a lot of what led into that were the other Dallas Mavericks. We talked a lot about Luka and Kyrie in the first part of the show because they were outstanding and helped close the game. But just about every other player that saw significant minutes in this game is worth sort of chatting about for a moment. Isaac, why don't you pick one? Pick who you would like to chat about here, and then we'll go from there because I think we could kind of heap praise upon almost everyone that got minutes tonight.
I'm going to start with Jaden Hardy because he was scaring me in the first quarter.
Sure.
He came out, took 5 shots in his first 3 minutes, and I was like, Jaden Hardy, what are we doing?
He hit the first one, didn't he? He hit the 3.
He hit the first one, and then he missed his next 4 or 5, and I was like, Jaden Hardy, like, who are you? Mm-hmm. And then in the fourth quarter, he was like, I'm Jaden Hardy, and I'm like, there you go, my fault. Like, he hit that 3. He had a pass to Lively. I don't know if that was in the fourth, but there were just plays he made throughout that comeback that we don't win this game without Jaden Hardy. And I know we're going to say that about a lot of players because it's a 1-point win, but his momentum was a huge part of the win.
Well, there's an expectations thing too. And I tweeted during the first quarter that Kidd was giving everyone a try because he just has to spell Irving and Doncic. So someone has to step up or the Mavericks aren't going to win. That was really quite that basic. And, he hit that first 3 and then the live ball, like his shots were almost live ball turnovers. And Green didn't really do much of anything either, which is, then Tim Hardaway comes in who, missed 2 free throws and missed a jumper. Exum missed a 3. And it's just like, is anybody going to do anything? And Hardy then comes in the second half and proceeds to play an under control, really special few minutes. And it's, he played, how many minutes did he play here? Let's see. He played 11 minutes. So not a huge chunk of time, finishes a -1. You're looking at his box score tomorrow. You're like, what did this guy do? Well, he had 2 of his 3 threes. That's nice. He had 1 rebound and 1 assist, 1 steal and a turnover. So you're looking at all this. You're like, what did this guy do? He did not screw up. There's a lot to be said about that little bit of activity where you're buying minutes for Kyrie, you're buying minutes from Luka. And, right before the run, which closed out the game, Kidd brought Luka and Kyrie off where there was a lineup for a possession where Hardy, Green, and somebody else was on the floor too. It might have just been Derek Jones Jr. and PJ Washington, but they were the 2 guards where they played defense on the Wolves for a minute and secured a rebound. Kidd called a timeout. That sort of stuff is just important. I was really pleased by it. Matt, what about you? Is there somebody that you'd like to kind of heap a little praise on here?
Our center, both guys at the center position were great tonight. I think, obviously in the box score, Lively got, what was he, plus 2 and a 1-point win is enough. And so Gafford was my 3, but he today in this game he was 8 of 10, which is like what we want from him. After he had those huge stretches during the season where he was making 20 plus in a row, he started this series. I don't have the box score, but I mean, he was not. When he catches the ball down low, you want him to score. Like that's what he needs to be doing when he catches it there. And so for him to go 8 of 10 like that, he's doing what he needs to do. He's contributing. He's grabbing rebounds. He had 5 in this game. He hit that insane circus shot, which I haven't even had time to go watch a replay of yet because I've been watching the Luka replay. So I mean, yeah, just everyone like doing their part, like their role. I mean, and Gafford did that today.
Yeah, the combined center combo. There's been a lot of chatter if you listen to other podcasts about why the Mavericks don't go with Lively significantly more minutes. Like, why don't you play him 30 and play Gafford 15? I still think Gafford brings a certain something that I can't really identify because as amazing as Lively has been, that catch and willingness to take that shot, there's a lot. Lively has a lot of confidence in his game. He wouldn't have done that.
Just to be able to throw that pass to a center, and just be sure that his hands are good enough to even attempt to catch that is not something that just any center off the street can do for sure.
Mm-hmm. And if we're praising both of them at the same time, one of the things that I've really enjoyed, I'm just going to continue to mention this on every podcast. In the preseason when they played in Abu Dhabi, Lively was big boyed by both of them, which is fine. It's to be expected. It's his first games against NBA level competition for real. But the way he goes, when Lively has position and he's going up to get a rebound, that ball is his. He does not lose it. And with Cat and Rudy and Naz Reid in there sometimes, it's really quite astounding to watch him just big boy everybody else and not get phased and not lose the ball or let it get slapped away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was that possession, and I think it was in the 4th. It was a big rebound that he grabbed. I think Mike Conley or someone got around Luka. Luka didn't box him out, and so was Derek Lively fighting off 2 Wolves. I think Rudy and I think it was Conley, some guard for a big defensive rebound, and it's Lively, the rookie, against these 2 great veteran NBA guards, and it was not an easy rebound. He grabbed it away from both of them, and he's gave it out to Luka, got a transition going. So I mean, he's not a pushover in the paint at all.
Well, and there's a little bit of everything. You can go through the box score and see different guys, and you probably say, okay, well, Derek Jones played a lot. He didn't really do too much. I loved his defense today. He only had he had 4 personal fouls, but he was just all over the floor. I think the threes, maybe a little bit of regression to the mean after the last series, which is fine, but he'll hit them again. He'll hit them again, and I'll feel good about that sort of hit when the ball is finally coming down. Hey guys, we have a special guest who has managed to join the show here. Josh Bowe, what's up, man?
Thanks for holding down the fort. How's everyone doing tonight?
We're okay. We're glad you're able to work through your technical difficulties.
Difficulties, yes.
I love watching our commenters be like, who are these guys? But this is we should have more of our staff on because we have a lot of great basketball fans, thinkers, and writers over at Mavs Moneyball. Josh, we've rounded out the game as a whole, and we're kind of getting in the weeds. And so what I suggest you do is we're going to round out the rest of the show here. And then I think you should stick around for elements of the second live show if you want to. Does that work for you?
Sure. That sounds good.
Josh is drinking out of a very pink glass. I like this. All right, let's kick it back to Isaac. Isaac, who's anybody else that you would like to sort of heap praise on?
I mean, I think that we hit everybody, kids going with a wider rotation, which is kind of backwards for the playoffs. Normally you tighten your rotation down, he's widening it out, and it's working. I'm not criticizing it. It's working, but I guess that's what Pete Prez on his kid got his 2 possessions with those challenges in the 4th quarter.
Yes.
He's kind of an asshole for that last one because that was clearly a foul on Kyrie.
I feel
you can't fix that.
I feel kind of gross, and the fact that I don't think the Mavericks scored on the ensuing possession, did they?
I don't remember, but those possessions matter in a game like this.
Yeah, they do. They do. And it changes the vibe of the team, frankly. And Kyrie knew it. You could tell because you don't call for that like that unless you know the rule. And it's like, it clearly went off him, but he also clearly fouled McDaniels. That was really something else to see. Kid, I think is really it with some of the things that we've talked about over the past 3 years with Kid. I have settled on the fact that he is a clear 16-game coach when it matters and is doing a marvelous job of, we talked about it briefly with the stealing of rest, with frankly his will. I appreciate his willingness to go back to guys. Because like Lively, if Lively took 5 shots in a game, in a regular season game, we might not see him for a month. You know, the kind of thing he was doing, but he had to go back to somebody.
Real quick about the rest. Yeah. Sorry, just real fast. The stealing rest, Kyrie, that little maneuver he did with about 3.5 minutes left, where Minnesota's going to call their use it or lose a timeout, and we're going to call our use it or lose a timeout. He sat out for 30 seconds of game time, but got 6 minutes of rest because of those back-to-back timeouts. Like, that's just little coaching things that aren't going to show up in a box score, but that was the difference. Kyrie had fresh legs to make that 3 with a minute left, probably because he got that 5-6 minutes of rest.
I like it. That's a great take. That's a great take. Let's see here. I'm trying to, it's just when I go through and I write down my gajillion pages of notes, I lose some stuff sometimes, but so the Mavericks now head home. They're up 2-0. They play again on Sunday and then again on Tuesday, because this is just an every other game series the rest of the way. Where do you two sit insofar as your feelings about the rest of this series? Because I got a notification from somebody. The Mavericks have only been ahead out of 96 game minutes. They've only been ahead 15 minutes the entire series, and yet they're up 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had asked for or predicted Mavs in 5 at the start of this series, and that felt pretty, I felt like I was putting my neck out there, but no, I just want the sweep. Like, I just want to win at home. I don't want to go back to Minnesota.
What about you, Isaac?
Man, I'm sure your chat is going to kill me for this, but 2006, 2021, like, I don't feel safe with 2-0 leads. I know it's good to have them. Absolutely.
That's a reasonable.
I would much rather be up 2-0 than down 2-0, no doubt. But, like, I need us to see us get the 4th win before I'm truly confident. Obviously, I would pick us to win this series at this point, but if you asked me to give you a game total, I'd probably still say 6. Okay. Not because I don't trust the Mavericks, just because they terrify me. The trauma they've put on me is insane.
Trauma stuff is real. I'm still sitting with my gentleman sweep thing. I think Luka plays better on the road. I think at least at this point of the basketball cycle, where he enjoys the jawing, he enjoys the yelling and screaming as he's surrounded by people that hate him. So I sort of sit gentleman sweep still, and that's what Josh's initial prediction was as well. Guys, you two are so fantastic for helping us out. Matt wrote a piece that I think we just either, if I haven't published it, we're going to shortly, on Luka's game winner. Isaac writes both about the Mavericks and the Wings for Mavs Moneyball, and writes other places too. You guys are great. We will try to have you guys on more, because who wants to look at me and Josh all the time, right? All right. Thanks so much, guys. All right, so here's what we're going to do next. I am going to do our normal show here, normal secondary show with Josh, but Josh is going to join us for a little bit of it, and then he can get on and go to bed too, because you look tired, Josh. You look like you've had yourself an evening. All right, so everybody listening, thank you so much. Hang around. We'll do our secondary show, and anybody listening on the audio stream, I'll have a secondary Mavs Party show post probably sometime Saturday afternoon, because, again, we just got game after game. The Mavericks play again Sunday at 7 p.m. on TNT. So everyone hang tight, and we will be right back, or we will be back in your feed on Saturday afternoon.
Primary Election Day is Tuesday, June 4th. Now is the time to make a plan. Whether you plan to vote absentee by mail, in person at your county auditor's office before Election Day, or at your polling place on June 4th, it's important you take steps now to make your plan at voterready.iowa.gov. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, June 4th. Find more info at voterready.iowa.gov. This message is presented by the Iowa Secretary of State.